SS 600. Using the work of another auditor. Acceptance of work as principal auditor. Auditor should ensure that his own participation is sufficient for this. Consider following points. For area covered by principal auditor, materiality of the portion of financial statement need to be checked. For areas covered by other auditors, risk of material misstatements involved in components, principal auditor's degree of knowledge regarding components. Can a principal auditor perform additional procedures as per SA 600 on components need to be checked. Principal auditor's procedures. Basic principles regarding relying or using the work of another auditor. Principal auditor is normally entitled to rely or use work, that is communication and reports which are made by another auditor. In special circumstances, unusual things or fraud at branch or subsidiaries, auditor may perform following: examine books of accounts and other records, visit the branch subsidiaries. Most important factor which affects principal auditor's procedures. Principal auditor should evaluate or consider competence of another auditor. Is it appropriate for the given assignment? If another auditor is a CA, then such evaluation is not required. Procedures which principal auditor should apply before using or relying work or report of another auditor. Principal. Principal auditor is supposed to collect sufficient and appropriate audit evidence that work or report of another auditor is adequate and he can rely on them. Main procedures. Generally, principal auditor is supposed to perform following things: inform another auditor what work or report principal auditor is planning to rely or use, and make sufficient arrangement among themselves for coordination at planning stage. Inform SIT. Special consideration to be applied by another auditor. Example: treatment of interest during moratorium period given in COVID. Procedures which another auditor should perform to ensure intercomponent transactions. Example: related party transactions between holding and subsidiaries. Timetable for completion of audit. Obtain representation. Inform another auditor regarding significant reporting requirements like CARO, tax audit report, etc., and obtain representation as to compliance with them. Next, additional procedures that may be applied. The principal auditor might discuss audit procedures applied, review written summary of another auditor's procedures and findings, review findings of completed questionnaire or checklist, visit another auditor. Application of above procedure will depend on circumstance of the engagement and professional competence of other auditor. Principal auditor may not apply all these additional procedures if he thinks he has sufficient and appropriate audit evidence that other auditor has good quality control procedures and policies for conducting their work. Significant findings. Principal auditor should consider significant findings of other auditor. Principal auditor may perform following things for findings: discuss with other auditor and management of the component regarding audit findings, decide supplemental test of records, financial statements to be performed, and these tests can be performed either by principal or other auditor. Importance of above procedure in particular circumstances. If another auditor is not professionally qualified, which may happen in case of foreign branches, importance of all the above procedures increases drastically. Documentation. A list of components audited by another auditors, significance of each of these components, like their total turnover, profits, assets need to be checked, who performed their audit, conclusions and nature of reports received from another auditor, audit procedures applied by principal auditor before relying or using the work or reports. If report from another auditor is modified, then how principal auditor dealt with such things while framing his own report need to be documented. Coordination between the auditors. There should be sufficient liaison between principal and other auditor. Communication from principal auditor to other auditor. Advise other auditor on any matter which are important for principal auditor's work. Principal auditor may send detailed questionnaire on particular matter to other auditor. Principal auditor may send or issue written communication to other auditor. Communication from other auditor to principal auditor. Other auditor should ensure statutory compliance of communication, if any. Other auditor knows context in which way his work is used. If other auditor comes to know about significant findings which can be resolved at entity level and important for principal auditor, he should send he should send such information immediately. For example, if there is any problem in following timetable given, other auditor should respond to questionnaire on timely basis. Next, reporting considerations. How to report. If report of other auditor not reliable after performing procedures as per SS 600, principal auditor conclude that report or work of other auditor not reliable, principal auditor is not able to perform additional procedures required to evaluate financial information of the component. This is considered as a limitation of scope, and principal auditor should qualify or give disclaimer. A report of other auditor reliable but modified. Principal auditor should carefully consider subject matter of the qualification, especially nature and significance with respect to financial information of whole entity. Then principal auditor should make conclusions whether modification is required in principal auditor's report. Division of responsibility. Responsibility of principal auditor. Principal auditor is not responsible for work and report made by other auditor on the component, but if he had information which aroused suspicion about reliability of the work of other auditor, then he should perform additional procedures to confirm reliability. Else, principal auditor will also be responsible for inappropriate work or report. Disclosure in audit report. Principal auditor should clearly specify in his audit report number of branches, subsidiaries which are not audited by him, and also indicate quantum of financial activity and balances at components in monetary terms or in percentage terms.